Okay, so, but I agree with Ambra. So we need to understand the end user, of course.
So if it's an open source app, so I'm looking for someone who might help me because I need this specific task, clerical task, or it's just for public level. So for comuni, province, I don't know how is in English this word. Massimo, maybe you can help me.
Yeah, any type of municipal authorities. Well, the thing is, of course, if it could become something completely open. But what is important is that we have then in the background the possibility of like an umbrella capturing, because all this contributes to solving the problem. So if it has a participation from a state or from a bank or from a foundation or from knows who, somebody has to fund, because otherwise you cannot just create budget from zero, also from a company. So a company might need some clerical jobs, but maybe does not have the budget. And for governments, it's maybe a little bit easier, because governments, they take out budget from one thing and they just put it another name. Yeah. So I'm glad this is recorded so everybody knows that we know how it works, because it works exactly that way. Also in corporations sometimes. So it just needs to have the proper justification, you know. It contributes to sustainable development goals. It contributes to solving the crisis. It contributes to, at the end of the day, how many lives are we saving because we prevent people from going and live on the streets. It was very shocking last week or a few days ago when I saw the news from a friend in Thailand that they are giving their house. Luckily they have a house that they can give for free to a family, because otherwise the family would be on the street because they cannot pay the rent. Which is ridiculous, right? That just because there is a virus, suddenly our economy is driving us instead of resilience as a community.
And I think a lot of it comes from the dependence of a lot of people on the service industry, because in service industry, that's restaurant, tourism, flights, whatever is not working right now. And the employment in those sectors has been fairly easy to get. I'm thinking, right? And so even in trouble, people could go and make some money. So that was sort of an alternative to what we need now, an alternative to that, because yeah. So I was wondering, Michael, on your side, if there was something like that, would you look for it? Would you consider doing it? What are you thinking?
What my concerns are mostly, how do we guarantee that these jobs are then how to say, provided for people who really need that help, who cannot save themselves otherwise, because these are kind of we want to help those people who are more vulnerable in this situation. Yeah. So how do we guarantee that someone who is just free, sitting home and has free time, just doesn't go and makes another simple income?
Well, okay. It would be nice if somebody who is just sitting at home doing nothing probably becomes useful for society, actually, for a change. But no. But besides that, I'm sorry for being sarcastic, or cynical. Is that? Yeah. Well, anyway, no. But let's see. We have to be clever in the way we construct it. So I have in mind that we need some legal advice, because, for example, if the way of rewarding is constructed based on a kind of calculated amount of tasks or activity that is known that one person can do during 6 or 8 office hours, and not more than that, we at least prevent some speculation, right? We prevent people from taking advantage of the system just to try to make money out of it. So nobody can book 300 hours in a week, yeah? For example. But it has to be very clever, because sometimes it's not about time, but it's about quantity of job performed. Yes, Laxman.
Okay. I just wanted to bring an analogy here which would help us. It's like the entire town has pipelines already installed for water. Now there's a water crisis, or for certain reason we want to, instead of routing water in it, we want to route jobs in it. So what I'm trying to bring is these pipelines are these existing sectors which are already there. For example, Julia mentioned the tourism sector, the restaurant sector. The people in the clusters know who's in these segments. There would be some sort of government body or association wherein they would be registered. So what we need to focus is how do we route work over there, and within them, with their existing system of work and structure of work distribution, this work gets distributed.
It's a very interesting point. Very clever.
If you're talking about students and through the college, we just have to pass on to those, and then within those clusters, it gets further micro distributed.
And then also, I think that's a very good point, Laxman, and it's very interesting. It's a bit complex to respond anything immediately to that, but to reply to a previous point by Michael. So if we find a way to help governments to assign those tasks, so to create the database of tasks, it might be that there is no shortage of those tasks, because you think that maybe somebody who already has money will take them. Usually it's only in conversations that people say, oh, I'm definitely going to do it. And then in reality, only 2% of whoever was shouting go and do it. So if we help them to find an efficient way to outsource, I don't think there will be a shortage of the work.
But that is not the problem, right? I mean, what the kind of problem we are trying to solve is that somebody who might fear that maybe next month does not have money in his pocket can start doing something which can be just formatting an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, and I think the majority of bureaucratic jobs are even easier than that, because they rarely touch Excel. They actually just touch the forms online that are preset and all that. So to make it a bit short, what is important is that there is the contingency regulation lifting what are all the different prerequisites that allow you to have an employee. Because in this case, these people will not receive insurance, will not receive a pension, will not have a retirement fund or savings fund or whatever it is. This is just as an extra help that the European Union should put forward to help the people that are in this crisis, that are in conditions that are without the possibility of paying the rent next month. And anybody who wants to apply, it would be very easy that they have to provide, for example, their bank account. Automatically, anybody who has some money will not provide the bank account in Europe, because it's not a habit of providing the bank account in Europe.
I don't know from a legal point of view if it's possible to provide the bank account, but I think one of the challenges that we might face is the confidentiality. I think that's a bigger one. I think because the problem with corporates and the problem with governments, I'm sure, is that even though a lot of their stuff is not that interesting, they have certain guidelines of privacy that they have to respect, and that's a bigger challenge. That's why these jobs are hardly ever outsourced to just anybody.
And another concern what came in my mind was that how I see the importance of this. I see a great idea, but how fast can we provide it? And even if we create this system, how fast can we reach those people, inform those who need really these jobs? Because they are rarely, you know, searching in the right places, because those vulnerable.
That's a good concern. For example, if you take Uber drivers, it is because I see that there are much less taxis, and of course people don't go anywhere, so Uber drivers are struggling big time because that's their only income, and it depends on the amount of rides they do per day. So this forum, the Pan-European project, it allows us to connect to 600 partners that are participating, so that are corporate or whichever businesses. And if, for example, we ask to connect with Uber, and we say, can you just prompt the people, you know, if you're not doing enough rides through our app, please go to this European, you know, platform to look for a substitute task, you know, in your free time or whatever, something like that. So to prompt them from the platforms where they usually look for jobs.
Yeah, that's right. That would work. Now even Airbnb signed a contract with Duolingo, I think. They are making online experiences. They totally changed and provided some additional job for, so it's possible to make partnership and organize that. That's true.
So now you can do your Airbnb experience online.
Yeah.
Through the platform.
Yeah.
Okay, great. How does it work?
Through video, you prepare a presentation of what kind of experience do you want to offer. It can be entertainment, language, art lessons, cooking lessons, playing with in the nature with animals and so on. So there are different kind of offers. People can get super creative. Some offer dance lessons and so on. And it's a additional, like it's a substitution for those who were doing experiences on Airbnb to do it online.
That's interesting, because I think there's probably more offer right now than there is demand for these services, because there's quite a lot of stuff online, which is, you know, also substitute and it's free. So it must be very challenging for them anyway. So I see. So I downloaded the list of things that people that the hackathon requires us to submit. So it's a description of the problem, then our solution with technical details, architecture, and tools, and what did we manage to do during the weekend. Our solution's impact on the crisis. What do we need to continue the project? And what value will our solution have after the crisis? Then prototype and pitch video. So these are the things we need to put together before end of Sunday. Are there any ideas on how best to do it? Or maybe some initiative to take a specific part of it, or, you know?
I'm writing in the introduction, the background of the idea. I'm already writing some text.
I don't see it. I see that it's, you know, okay, I see. All right. It's at the end of the document, okay. So, but for the rest, what do you think, guys?
My head is not full with ideas.
See,
Well,
one of the way.
Go ahead, Lakshmi.
Yeah, one of the way we could possibly do is we could quickly come up with a small process flow of how the work is being currently done and identify all areas where the problems are. So it's kind of creating a quick process map which should take more time. Once we have done that, then we'll identify all the issues, all the challenges that we are facing in the current situation because of various different restrictions. Once that is listed, then immediately from there we could shortlist 2 or 3 critical problems or challenges to solve, and then move on to the solution stage. That should somewhere trigger a certain amount of thought process in a direction.
I think that's great. I mean, I don't know. Would you be willing to put together the draft of the process that, like you described, so the flow of the process? Because we don't have anything ready. You know, what we have is on the paper. You already saw it, and the rest is the discussion. So,
well, let's put the basic construction also on the paper, so we can just start filling up and following it. No.
Maybe in the same document somewhere, or however.
Yeah, process. Boom. A chapter called process.
Would you like to do that, Laxman?
Yeah, I can. In this document itself, I'll start adding it. I'll document it within the Google Drive sheet. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. And Michael, I understand that if you don't see yet how you can participate, maybe you can describe, because you do represent sort of the end user. Maybe you can write out the challenges that you have on your side, maybe something that you're not thinking about in terms of the flow of the day, or some other aspect, or where would you look for it? I mean, that was a valid point, but what you said, that maybe you wouldn't know where to look for this kind of thing. So maybe just a list of challenges or a list of considerations from your side, so that we have a user also incorporated into the design.
Are we supposed to use any specific tools? Have they listed what tools we can use, or it's a free flow?
Well,
No,
they gave us Slack.
Open.
They gave us Slack, but it's more like for checking in. I think the Google document is still more efficient, because then we can all edit it in our free time.
Okay.
And,
no, when I meant tool, I did not mean software tools. I meant framework tools.
Oh, like.
For example, when you're talking to Maiko, what she could do is she could quickly take up an empathy map and fill the empathy map for the people who are facing issues with regards to job, food, and stuff. A day in their life. Quickly, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? What are they looking?
They are not. They are not conditioning. They're not conditioning
they're not proposing it, but Michael, also for you, it's an open, it's an open format. Yeah. If you want to do it your way, you can do it your way. If you want to use empathy map, like Laxman suggested, you're also welcome to do that. If you remember the empathy map that we did for other people, doing it for yourself is quite much easier. So if you prefer to do that, you can also do that. And if you can just put everything in this one document, so we all see what each other is doing, that'd be great.
Okay. So we can play this with a very simple Scrum board, I think. Just first thing to do, and that is the important thing, and whatever else is after will be after.
Okay. So what is the first thing?
We do a bit on an agile way, that we don't have to create the whole program in advance, because otherwise we'll spend time planning. But if we divide and conquer, so for example, I am already writing for the background of the idea, what is the logic for the justification. So I am more, of course, on the theoretical part. So I will continue on that. But for example, I don't know, for example, Laxman and Michael, maybe they can explore the empathy map for seeing what pockets of society are the most affected maybe now in this type, that can qualify for this type of help. Because it's not only one, there are more than one. I mean, we've been talking Uber drivers, we've been talking independent professionals, people who have been laid off, students. So it's already 4 different types.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit that we can fill up in the document, a little bit on that, like a half a page that makes sense, right? A profile, mm-hmm. a few personas, no?
But I also like what Laxman suggested to do, that he would take care of the process flow. I think that is also a nice thing to just put together. Did I understand that right? Right, Laxman?
Yes, what I'll do is I'll quickly write down the approach for getting the process flow done.
Yeah.
And along with the empathy map, we could even get the process flow created.
Okay, yeah, that would be perfect. And then Michael can start on the empathy map, and I can help with that if you like, Michael. Ambra, is there anything you see that you could contribute, specifically knowing your own specialization? And you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, sure. Before I need to read what the Massimo is writing and you are doing, and then I can contribute with some ideas or maybe specific sectors. I'm sorry, but I'm alone with my daughter and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, and she's really missing you. No, it's okay. We're gonna let you go in a moment.
So I'm here, but I mean, I have to go. Sorry.
All right, so I guess we can just start from that. I'll stop the recording. I'll post it on YouTube for Fabrizio and Carlos to watch later, so that they can know what we're up to. And yeah, I'll keep the meeting running. So anytime you need to ask a question, just join the room. Michael, since you and I are going to be doing the empathy map, you can just stay in the room. And Massimo and Laxman, you can just join us later, whenever you like. Or if you don't want to do that, also fine.
Hi, and Laxman, it was nice to meet you.